All right, so this will be a change of pace. I'm up here doing stand-up comedy. Yeah. A little different. A little bit. So let me ask you guys, who likes kids? That's right, nobody likes kids. Not me, not my cats, and certainly not my wife. So the decision was made, it was an easy one to make, we're not having children. Thank you, thank you. But it's not popular with everyone. Some people are very upset with that. For example, my parents are not particularly thrilled. They're a little old for that. But my wife is thrilled. Because this is a great decision because we have no kids and I have no job. It's a perfect combination because that leaves me with all the time in the world to do all the chores in the house. I do the laundry, I do the shopping, I do the groceries. I cook dinner. I make cookies for her every single night. That's true. Yeah. I know, right? But, you know, the decision to not have kids came as a result of my last job. I'm glad to be rid of that job. I was teaching in a very, very shitty school in Oakland. I was an elementary school teacher. I taught English to second graders. And on the very first day, I knew it was going to be quite a year because my star student walked in, and I could pick her out as soon as she came through the door. Her name even had star power. Her name was Quinez. Wow. This kid was something else. The first day she comes in, she made an impression immediately. We'd been in the room for 3 minutes, and the kids are working on homework. And she raises her hand. Mr. Dave, Mr. Dave, she comes running on up. This girl had known me for 3 minutes, comes running up like I'm an old friend. Comes running up, Mr. Dave, Mr. Dave, what do this says? And she's pointing at her paper. And my English degree in my mind starts rattling, and I think, what does this says? So I correct her, Quinez, what you mean to say is, what does this say? I'm just trying to help her out. Just easy. And I think this is great. Problem solved. I helped her with her homework, sent her back to her seat. Not 5 minutes go by. She comes running back up. Mr. Dave, what do this says? And I said, Quinez, we talked about this. The blank stare in her eyes told me that the problem hadn't been solved, and reminding her that I thought it had been solved really wasn't going to cut it here. So I had to devise something, and it was the first day, so all the kids had little stick-on name tags. So I grabbed one from the desk and I write, Mr. Dave, what does this say? And I hold it to her and I say, Quinez, can you read this to me? And she says, Mr. Dave, what does this say? And I go, perfect. Take it off, stick it on her shirt, and I send her back to her seat. A shining achievement in my teaching career. First day, I solved a major problem with the way this girl thinks language works. Not 3 minutes later, she comes running up, Mr. Dave, what the... Mr. Dave, what do this says? My life was ruined. So, this wasn't the last gem that Quinez would drop on me throughout the year. A little while later, in fact, the day before my wedding, the kids knew that I was going to Disneyland and getting married, but I was getting married on Halloween. So the kids, of course, forgetting that anything else could happen on Halloween, they asked me, one of them throws her hand up and says, Mr. Dave, what are you dressing up as for Halloween? Well, I told them, you guys know I'm not going to be here. And this child clearly really did forget and says, where are you going to be? Before I can respond, another little voice chimes out over here. He's going to be in Disneyland. Why are you going to be in Disneyland? At this point, I knew I'd lost control, and I wasn't going to regain it, so I just sat back and watched. He's getting married. Why are you getting married? Kind of a strange question, but I didn't really know how to explain it to them. And before I had a chance to even try, Quinez shouts, fool, they gonna have a baby. I think I've made it clear that that probably wasn't the case. But I hadn't had that discussion with the students because it was really none of their business. Quinez had made it her business. So I turned my attention to her. It was time to reel the kids in. And I said, no, Quinez, we're not having a baby. Without missing a beat, she looks me dead in the eye and says, and she gonna cheat on you, end up with a black baby. That was the moment I knew I wasn't going to have kids. Because if I couldn't explain to Quinez how the world works, in that brief instant, and just tell her that that wasn't going to happen, if I couldn't explain that to her because there was now 30 kids running around like maniacs because this was the funniest thing they'd ever heard, what chance did my incredibly imaginary unborn child stand? Thank you, you guys have been great.